global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned. Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. The issue of COVID-19 in Kano State has turned out to be the concern of many, as Rabbi Kwankwaso was the former governor of Kano State and also former presidential aspirant under PDP, has sent strong letter making some recommendations and also giving some observations about what is currently happening in his state. Most people believe that his letter is actually very political, but I just want you to look at the content of the letter. I won't be able to read it because quite a long one is going to take us a long time, but we're going to look at some of the key points that he has made mention of and also some of the suggestions that he has also put out, and look at one or two comments from Nigerians, go into analysis of this issue. It's quite a troubling one for most people, especially considering the fact that some senior citizens are involved in the death row of in Kano State in respect to this issue of COVID-19. Now, let me just talk about some of the key things he made mention of. The first observation was that he said that there is a scary rise of death in Kano State since the case of COVID-19 came up. In other words, he was talking about correlation between the scary rise in the death row in Kano State and COVID-19. Somehow there is a relationship. Don't forget that the state government had already said that most of those people died because of, malaria. But the question is, when the likes of professors are involved, when the likes of professors and doctors are dying, because are just dying, you will know that something far bigger than malaria is at work. Malaria cannot kill a professor who has been in the country for years and who knows how to solve it, And if not for anything, 640 people dying in 1 week, to a point whereby even the so-called the undertakers were complaining, that they have overworked themselves because the death is increasing on a geometrical progression. So he made mention of that. That was the first reason why he sent the letter, the scary rise of death in Kano State. He also made mention of the fact that they are the unprofessional and uncoordinated fight against COVID-19, and as a result of that, the people themselves seems not to trust the government again. They seem that as the government is suffering mistrust from the hands of the governed themselves. That's the second point he made mention of. And the third one says that there's a near absence of cooperation and coordination between the state and the federal government in COVID-19 response, which is absolutely true. NCDC started their work in Kano State, but before we know, they closed down the whole thing. Some political undertones, we have not been given letter and all of that. Before we know, they shut down. And when they shut down, the people were dying. They say very few tests have been carried out in Kano State, very few. And then, despite the fact that people are dying, everybody seems to hey, it's very normal and all of that. And that it was a clear display of lack of cooperation, because the truth of the matter is that the federal government should be at the forefront, coordinating things, even in the state. They will make sure that they put structures in the state, and then the state now will help them, to make the structure stronger. All right. He also made mention of the possibility of this health emergency metamorphosing into security emergency, which is what we are experiencing in Lagos State. Because very, very soon, sooner than we expect, we will see the rate of security threat in Kano. It will grow in geometrical progression, because by the time people stay off eating for a while because of the shutdown, because of this health emergency, they stay off going to do their business, stay off eating, they are being forced to stay inside the house. It will trigger some form of security threat, because you will see banditry, being the occupation of all. We've already seen some videos on, internet where people went out, someone was selling and people ended up stealing virtually he went for supply actually, and people ended up stealing virtually everything. And I was just, when I saw it, I said, how about this guy stopping to place demand for this thing? I said, the whole thing will finish. By the time he stops, he can't stand the crowd that he will see. So because of that, because of that, I think that's why Kwankwaso is saying that this issue of health may turn out to be a security threat if it is not handled with so much precaution. And then he offered some suggestions, in different regards, talking about that there's need for the government to stop this politics, especially in the committee formation, because that's the first thing he made mention of, that in the committee formation before now, it was a contraption of chronics who are unqualified and who were unprofessional, and at the same time they were incompetent to handle it. And before they knew, just because they were very, very incompetent, the next thing that happened was that all of them tested positive. By the time they tested positive, it was scattered. So right now, there is no active response team in respect to COVID-19. Currently, there's no task force that is, taking care of this issue right now in Kano State. He also made mention of the fact that they are totally political when it comes to palliative sharing. That it's so terrible that in a polling unit of about 500 people, they give palliative to only 4 persons, which is absolutely very wrong. And he later on make some suggestions, put out some suggestions, and one of it is that the federal government should come in and play their role in this whole issue. Those are some of the few things that he made mention of. And I am here with my colleague. We're going to be talking about this because I tell you the whole truth, that Kano, as we all know, Kano is one of the most populated states. It's the most populated state. That's the truth, by virtue of population census that have been carried out, and also during the political time, you will notice that they are the most populated state in Nigeria. And being the most populated state in Nigeria, we also realize that to some extent that they are living, because of the kind of informal occupation that they are involved in, they are living below the poverty line. And if nothing is done right now, that's the truth. If nothing is done right now, it therefore means we are going to be losing a lot of people in that state. And looking at what he has made mention of, what do you have to say, taking into consideration all the points that he has mentioned?
To start with, the leadership style is very important. The people need to believe the governor. The people need to trust him enough. And if they trust him enough, then he should allow NCDC Kano to be reopened. Okay, how do we know we can't keep calling it senior malaria. What is senior malaria? Learned people are dying every day. Professors are dying every day in Kano. So does it mean that those ones don't even know how to buy malaria drugs, even over-the-counter drugs, to take care of themselves? So of course, no. Transparency is important. When you're weak, let your people know this is where we are. Have a functional task force team. This is not the time to become political. This is not the time to politicize lives and properties of your people. You are the number one citizen of that state. You are the first man and probably the last man standing in Kano. So a lot of decisions are dependent on you. While you say the federal government did not show their presence and all that, someone made a lot of efforts. Okay, if you watch very critically, you also notice that the River State governor also is aggressively standing strong over River State. He makes strong decisions to protect his people.
That's true.
So he needs to have a good leadership style to show that he's already on top of his game, and that way even the federal government will listen to him. Now, how can a pandemic of this measure break out in Kano State and there is no ready task force? The ones that were formulated were actually square pegs and round holes,
of course,
which means they were not competent right from the start. So it was dead on arrival. So this time around, this is not the time to begin to. If you feel that even kwankwaso is good enough, bring him in.
Exactly.
Life and property. Life is only one. Swallow your pride.
Sorry, that's why I like this guy, Fayemi. It's really an amazing guy. Despite the fact that the Fayoshe, it's from PDP, he still incorporated him into the COVID-19, task force.
Because you can't know all.
Yeah, you don't know all. These guys have experience in leadership. There's no need of trying to pretend as if you are in charge when you know that truly you are not in charge. Now, he also made mention of certain things, which I also want us to talk about. How do you think that will be achieved? He suggested that those who have been in charge of the dead bodies of people thus far, that they should be isolated. Those who are the mortuary guys,
honestly, does it need to be told that?
And also the contacts should be tracked. And I'm just looking at, I can see where he's coming from, and I believe that the federal state government, that would have been the first thing that they would have done.
Yeah,
seeing that there is serious increase, scary increase in the dead, first thing is isolate those guys and make sure that the issue of burial shouldn't be a group thing of people going.
Another thing that really baffles me, if he's actually lost for words, why didn't he call some of his fellow governors, like someone who has been handling this situation for a while? Guy, how are you doing your own state? What did you start with? And maybe emulate. From there, you begin to develop experiences. Then use the labor you have in hand here. Because the truth of the matter is, if he doesn't get it right, for every time he makes a slow and sluggish decision, people would die in their hundreds. And it's not just even dying in their hundreds, it's the fact that it is also contagious. For every time it's wasting, more people are getting
exactly. That is the troubling aspect of it.
So I'm so surprised that NCDC is still on. Let him strive, do everything he can to bring NCDC back to Kano and bring probably the best hands he can to make it happen. And to worsen it, he needs to put... in fact, from the beginning, he got it wrong. When others were on lockdown, no socializing, social distancing, none of the people of Kano obeyed anyone. Now, they were all doing their thing as if nothing is going on.
Now, you're absolutely right. But the question is, the state government have a duty. And the duty they have is to carry out proper sensitization, to sensitize the people and let them, whether it is in English or whether it is in Hausa, let them understand that, hey, this thing is actually here. And we've got to start living our lives like this. Some people say these guys are very adamant. I'm talking about the Hausa guys, that the Northerners are very, very adamant. But that's not true, because in South states, in Southeast state, in Southwest, they are obeying.
And they're also from the North.
Saw most of them. Sometimes I run into some of them as I'm going for my daily dealings, and I noticed that they go with their face masks. Some of them go with gloves in their hands.
Are they not from the same North?
Are they not from the same North? Which therefore means what is actually happening is the fact that these guys have not been properly,
Wasn't
informed.
It the same North that were drinking after washing that their
dirty hand and
they drank it. Even forget COVID-19 first. That one is cholera.
Yes.
Waiting to happen.
Yes.
And you are not drinking it to show that pandemic. Oh dear, look.
Now, guess what? During this, nobody seems to have any excuse, especially during this period of social media stuff. That's social media publications and all of that. Certainly, you must have seen that kind of video post. And it's an indication that you need to wake up to your responsibility to, call people to order. You are the man in charge here. You need to call people to order right now. Right now he's saying a lot of things that they have been abandoned by the federal government. Nobody abandoned you. But hey, when this thing came up, some of you just felt that it was Chinese disease.
It's
now you'll be so surprised. I saw a write-up. I saw a video of a particular a deputy governor in the northern state. When he was supposed to, he was called upon to talk about coronavirus or to make a statement about coronavirus. And the guy came up and called it coronation virus.
Are you serious?
Just to let you know that he has no idea. He's not even interested about what is going on. To them, it's just storytelling.
Now,
it's an opportunity to eat money.
If somebody in
a deputy governor, I don't want to...
Then what then is he doing in leadership?
Do you understand?
Now, that means his followers knows next to nothing
about it.
Oh my God.
Nobody cares about what is going on in the social media and all. And I think that's why I say the letter written by kwankwaso is absolutely not political at all.
I feel that this humanitarian minister, she does not know her complete role.
Yeah.
Those are one of her roles.
Yes, send representatives down to those places. Let them give them proper orientation.
Well, we are expecting more enrollment into the system.
Feel money.
Exactly.
That is the context
Exactly.
He's giving free money. Let's go and collect
But we
free
have to
money.
be
You don't even
conscious
know
of
why
the
they're giving you
quality
the
of
free
work.
money.
Exactly.
So
You
we
would
have to
have spent
strengthen
time to give
My
them proper
God.
orientation
Oh, God.
about
Assurance
this. The
outfit.
state governors needs to be invited for one-on-one. That's not one-on-one. Just the state governor. You spend that even him to do it regional geographically. You call them not east today, not west tomorrow, south east, just like the middle belt. Just call them. Talk to them so that they understand what is currently happening.
If you give her that road, that means like $200 billion. Just the whole Nigeria $25 billion. If ordinary palliative, she spent how many million naira in billion naira in 24 hours. It was really amazing. But then I don't know how they're going to do it, because honestly, from the foundation, they got it all wrong. And if they do not do the needful now, we are looking at the ghost city of Kano. Everybody's just watching. I just hope that what Melinda Gates said will not come to pass very quickly, and let it not start from Kano State.
Yeah, FFK, when I watched his video when he was talking about the Melinda Gates, he said prediction, he said it's spiritual and all of that. That woman was not trying to make statement that one should consider it spiritual. She understands the ignorance that is in Africa. Africa is one set of people that may not even want to take this kind of issues very serious. If you want to spend so many time, another suggestion that he made, kwankwaso made, was the fact that there needs to be more testing, centers. There need to be people at the cemetery, because right now they can't even, sometimes secretly, they have about 8 cemeteries in the metropolis. Sometimes, even in the night, people just carry their dead bodies, go there, and they bury it and all of that. So they need to be people so that we will know, so that the government will know what is actually happening.
That place is a time bomb.
That's what he said. He said that if nothing is done right now, Kano State may become the epicenter of coronavirus in the whole of Africa.
Oh, God.
It's already the most populated city in the whole world. So for you to allow things to go on like this, very, very soon, we are going to see a Kano that will be so unbelievable.
I hope there are no people that have relatives in Kano, because they are actually compromised.
Exactly. Those are some of the things. I mean, if you want to talk about this, it's going to take a whole day. We are hoping that when the president, whatever he's going to do in the night, he will talk about this. He will make mention of the stringent measures that must be taken to get this off. Well, that's where we're going to leave it. Please do well to ensure